So I bought another art course. Now I know what you're thinking, stop buying art courses you're not going to finish. And this one's different because I am going to finish it and I've already seen a heap of improvement. So this course focuses on the structure of the head and focuses on understanding the planes of the head. Basically, you want to have these shapes ingrained in your head every time you draw a portrait, so that this is the invisible shapes that you're thinking about when you're drawing the portrait in order to make it look 3D. And that's essentially what this video is all about. Me doing some drills to learn what's going on underneath my portraits. So as any great portrait session does, it started with a scroll through Pinterest. This is a Pinterest board I've compiled from interesting portraits that I've seen along the way. And I'm just going to pick about 6 of them to draw out today. And I wasn't sure what I was going to get through with this video. 6 is quite ambitious. And if you watched my last video, I said that one of the issues I have is that I try to do too much in one sitting. I try to do 20 portraits in one video, and it actually takes me a long time to do portraits because I'm still a novice at this. So the plan was to do 6 portraits. I actually end up doing 3 completed portraits, foreshadowing, but I do 6 of the basic head structure. I start with this one facing forward, front view of the head, then I moved on to this 3/4 view of the head, just trying to take time to measure out the proportions from my reference and really go in and draw out this underneath skeleton to create the 3D effect that you want in a portrait. Because that's one of the areas that I know that I struggle with in my art journey is getting the drills in. I used to be a dancer, I used to be a professional dancer, and in dance training, it's like you're going to do a plie 1,000,000 times, you're going to do releves 100 million times, you're going to do pirouettes and pirouettes and pirouettes until you're doing them right. Like, any athlete knows that the skill comes through the drills, through repeating things time and time again. And with art, I find that I'll draw it a couple of times, and if it looks okay, then I'll move on to the next thing. And that's not how you improve. You have to keep doing the same thing over and over again. But of course that's boring, no one wants to do that. So I'm gonna do that. And if you want to improve your art, come join me, come do some drills. I did my first 3/4 view facing my right, and then I hate to draw 3/4 views facing the left. I don't know why, my brain doesn't compute. So I did one facing the left because we have to do the things that we find difficult in order to improve. And that's another thing that I hate doing, but we're going to keep persevering. And then of course I didn't want to leave any view untouched, so then we're going to do a profile view. And the lighting changed a bit because it became evening time. I did the first set of 3 during my daughter's nap time, and then she woke up. I had to get on with the rest of the day, actually mother the children that I gave birth to. And so in the evening time, after everyone had gone to bed, from about 10 to midnight, I decided to start on these 3, which again is why I'm not going to finish all 6 of them in this video. I'm sorry, there's a part 2. I apologise for that. I know we all hate part 1s and part 2s. And then again, we do the things that we find difficult, we get the drills in. The forward view is probably my least favourite view because it's really hard for me to make things symmetrical. I think it's symmetrical, then I look back at the portraits and I'm like, oh, that eye is skew whiff. So I decided to do another one of those because we got to get those drills in. The name of the game is drills. I can't remember which YouTuber I watched. If I remember, I'll put their name in the description below, but there was a YouTuber that I watched many years ago who was talking about how they improved with drawing heads, and I love their style of drawing heads. I love their art style. Excuse me. And they said that how they improved was that they drew the Asaro head like 1,000 times. And so that's basically what we're trying to do here. It's the simpler form of the Asaro head. This one, I think I got ahead of myself and tried to do a really unusual angle with varying degrees of success, I believe. We'll find out later when I come back and add the details to this one, but I know I keep repeating myself that we have to do the hard thing, so I thought, let me try this hard thing. If it doesn't work, then we will analyze what went wrong with it, go back and try it again, and hopefully, eventually, after 20 tries, it might start working. This actually reminds me of the cover to A Simple Life. I read that book at the end of last year. Well, I listened to the audiobook, and I'd heard that it was a devastating book, that it was like the saddest book people had ever read. People are prone to hyperbole, so I didn't believe them. People were not exaggerating. It's a devastating book. Really great. I would recommend it. Devastating. So I came back to work on the details of this one, and my plan, my aim, my hope is that as I complete this course, I can come back and compare these portraits to the heads that I've drawn in the past, even the heads that I drew in my last video, compare them for accuracy, compare them for just visual aestheticness, and see if there's been any improvement. I feel like there's already been an improvement. This initial laydown didn't have me too optimistic. These eyebrows were atrocious, and the hair is definitely, I said it in my last video, I keep referring to it, you should go back and watch it. Hair is something that I need a whole 6-week course on, another art course I'm gonna buy. But I do make it better. This initial laydown was a bit worrying. I thought, okay, so that full 2 hours of work of this course that I did nothing. I haven't improved at all. Because that's what we want. We want the instant gratification. But no, we have to do the drills. We have to get our reps in. So I did my initial laydown in a lighter pencil. You see, I've switched out my pencil here. I switched it out for 3B. And decided to go back in and go over some more details, and I think that he started to come more alive. You may disagree with me, but I think it started to come together once I started to put a bit more details in. So you may have noticed today that I'm using a different pencil that I used in my last video, different brand of pencils. This whole series, this whole project, this whole sketchbook, I really want to focus on just doing pencil drawings. I want to keep it simple, keep a very simple medium so that I can just focus on technique and improving my art style. The last few videos, I used just generic Walmart own brand basic HB pencils, and then finally I found my Staedtler brand pencils, and I have to say I do feel the difference. The Staedtlers have a smoother feel on the paper. They go on smoother, they're easier to work with, you get a bit more smudge to them. So the pencil is probably the humblest of art tools, and you can get really cheap pencils, and I would, if like money or resources are what are stopping you from doing art, just get the cheapest pencils, because all it needs to do is make a mark on the paper. If it does that, then it's doing its job. But if you do want a bit of an elevated experience, I highly recommend the Staedtler brand. They go down really smoothly. I enjoyed working with them more than I enjoyed working with the other pencils. And of course, I have never owned like an expensive pencil set. The Stettlers are probably the most expensive brand I've tried. So maybe one day I'll try a more expensive set. I've also got some charcoals that I want to experiment with, but that's for another time. I want to also go back to this guy and the shading that I did on him. I was happy with his proportions. I was happy with how he came out. I can see like the skeleton underneath. Don't love the shading, so I am going to experiment more with my shading style. This guy, this 3/4 guy, I really enjoyed drawing. I think the reference wasn't giving as much side eye as this guy is. This guy looks a lot more dubious and unsure about the person watching, the person drawing, anyone to his right. But I do enjoy that about him. He has some sass, some pizzazz, and again with this guy, he came to life once I started adding the darker pencil shadings and started going in with the details. Quick pause to fill the eyebrows in, just like one of the old school beauty influencers from back in the day. Again, kind of did the similar shading as I did to the other guys. All 3 of these portraits on this page, I like the way the portraits are coming together. I dislike the shading. So if anyone has any shading tips or any videos that you recommend for me to watch, leave them in the comments below. I would love to get some tips on that. Also, like this course that I'm doing, I am going to leave the course in the comments below too. It's part of the Doodle Warriors course. I forget the teacher. I should know the teacher's name. Mum brain. I'm going to blame it all on mum brain. So I will leave the course below, and it's being like released in parts, like it hasn't all been released at once. So I'm sure that he's going to go over shading later on. I'm impatient. I just want that instant gratification. I want it now. I am part of the microwave generation and social media generation, and unfortunately that is the way that our brains have been wired now, and there's no going back. It got dark. We had a quick break. We came back the next day, and of course the next night, because I think I finished Side Eye Guy at about midnight the previous night. So we came back to work on my last portrait, which is my first woman of the series. I love drawing women. Women are my favorite. But, and this is a giant but, the Asaro head was created using the male head as the standard, and a lot of drawing courses and drawing tutorials, great teachers of the past, I'm thinking of Loomis, I'm thinking of Michael Hampton, they start with using the male head as the basis. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying that's what they did. And I think one of the reasons they do that is because male form tends to be, in general, more angular. You tend to see more clearly the planes of the face in the male form. The female form tends to be softer and has more curved edges and less sharp edges. And curved edges are really hard when you're a beginner, a novice, an intermediate, trying to figure out planes of the head. The male face being more angular makes it easier to like see the musculature and the bone structure, especially older men, because they've kind of lost that elasticity and that chubbiness in the face. And so I think that's why the art models are used based on male face, and it's also why for me right now it's been easier to draw men, especially old men. I'm in my drawing old men era, which is it's interesting to say the least. But it's helpful. Whatever's helpful, use what's helpful and grow from it. And as I get better with just drawing faces in general, then I'll be able to get back to drawing women who I love. I am a woman. I love drawing women. So, but I did enjoy drawing this woman. She's also giving a bit of a side eye. It's a softer side eye than the guy above. She seems more curious than disapproving. This is me trying to experiment with highlights using the eraser. I've seen lots of different artists do it so well and in such a way that creates such a great impact that I want to experiment with that. But as I said before, I don't love this shading, and actually I think when I get round to doing the next 3 portraits, I'm not going to shade them. I'm just going to leave them simple, maybe do the barest of shading and see how it goes from there. Focus on one thing at a time. That's my problem. I try to do everything at once. I need to just focus on one thing at a time. So this is where I'm going to leave it. That's the first 3 done. I already think that's an improvement on the heads that I did before. I think it's still showing my style, but there's a bit more realism. There's a bit more volume to them and shape to them. So I'm excited to see where this course is gonna take me, and I promise I'm gonna stop buying art courses. Ay. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great evening, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.